Macabre Cast.
Devil's on the loose and he's dancing with the mummy.
Wait a minute. Strike that, Gooby. Reverse it. Because you know as well as I do what this means. It's time for another episode of Macabre Cast.
Doc Mark and Chorus, the little mummy, here to bring you another episode of Macabre Cast, where we'll be dropping R's where they belong and adding them where they don't.
Last week, Scary Larry asked me to put out some Christmas horror recommendations, and I did so. But amongst those first four that I mentioned you should check out, I accidentally left one out, and that's a Norwegian film called Christmas Blood. Okay, the Norwegians, they really are tuned into the slasher films of yesteryear. Of course, there's a lot of silly inept stuff that just you could do without in the film. You could probably actually cut 20 minutes out of this film with the banter of the kids getting together for the party, but the rest of it is tour de force. So I highly recommend Christmas Blood. It is a Norwegian film, so you got to kind of bear with it at parts, but if you're a slasher gore hound like myself, I'm sure you'll love it. It's also tough to find. I had to actually order it and buy it on DVD with a leap of faith, but well worth the price of admission. Christmas Blood.
I am really surprised that Scary Larry, who sees 100 new horror films he's never seen before every October, has a few that he hasn't seen. That was amazing.
Yes, I am always thrilled when I can pull one or two out of my hat that Scary Larry hasn't seen. I'm amazed that I can do that, and I'm glad that I can. So there you go, Scary Larry, Christmas Blood. Okay, Karis, we've got Horror Chat Matt on the line.
Hey, Doc Mark, just wondering what your all-time slasher Mount Rushmore list is. For me, and I'm sure most people, the top three are pretty easy with Michael, Jason, and Freddy. The fourth one is typically a rotating character for me. I know a lot of people will throw Leatherface or Chucky on there, or Art the Clown, a new addition. I feel he needs a couple more films under his belt before I could seriously consider him for my Rushmore. But I think my fourth spot would go to Ghostface, even though he's played by multiple characters, and I shouldn't use the word he, spoilers. But I think the concept of the character is great, how it can be anybody underneath that mask. As always, Dark Mark, keep up the great work. And I'm sure if Ghostface ever called you, he'd have a hard time stumping you with some scary movie trivia.
Not going to argue with your choices, Matt. Your first three are spot on. However, okay, fourth, maybe is where we differ. Leatherface, sorry, absolute go-to. As much as the first three, I would never put Chucky on anything. I'm not a Chucky fan, other than the first movie. I always felt that was just a parody of itself. Ghostface is a good choice, but I definitely would put Leatherface in there before that. But that's still not my Mount Rushmore. No, my Mount Rushmore goes back to the classics, because that's where it all started for me in my Monster Kid journey. So, as you know, that would be Frankenstein the Wolfman, Dracula. I'm going to say The Mummy, but I have a tough time with this because Creature from the Black Lagoon is one of my favorites, and I go back and forth. Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Mummy. But I guess it just doesn't really matter, so I don't know. The Mummy?
It just doesn't matter! It just doesn't matter! It just doesn't matter! It just doesn't matter! It doesn't matter!
It doesn't matter?
No, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it does not. Karis. Or maybe, what about the Invisible Man? The Invisible Man, yeah, he might deserve to be there.
It just doesn't matter! It just doesn't matter! It just doesn't matter!
This old-time radio show that you write and produce, Terror, I believe it's called, and you keep talking about this new episode coming out, episode 4, Everything Happens for a Reason. Is that coming out anytime soon? You've been talking about that for quite a while.
Yes, there were a few setbacks, but the recording is almost finished. Then I have to go through the copyright process, and as soon as I can, I'm hoping to have Terror Episode 4 available for purchase at iTunes.
Do you know that Scary Larry drove 26 miles just to see It's a Wonderful Knife? And I'm pretty sure he's on the line to give his review.
26 miles. Maybe it's Crazy Larry, not Scary Larry.
Is this something you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
Holiday greetings, Dark Mark. This is Scary Larry with my review of Tyler McIntyre's It's a Wonderful Knife, a horror comedy spoof of It's a Wonderful Life. I had high hopes for this movie since Tyler scored points with me on such hits as Patchwork, Tragedy Girls, and his contribution to VHS 99. I must say I was highly disappointed. Set in Angel Falls, we are introduced to the Carruthers family, and the film's protagonist, Winnie, played by Jane Widdop of Yellow Jackets fame. Her father, played by Joel Hale, is the whipping boy of his boss, greedy real estate developer Henry Waters, played by Justin Long, who seems to have recently graduated from the William Shatner School of Overacting. Waters is trying to buy up all the homes in an area of town to develop an evil corporate mall, and just won't take no for an answer. Now there's one grandfather-type character, Roger Evans, who refuses to sell. Of course, this is where the plot quickly and rather predictably goes off the rails. Surprise, surprise, an angelic dressed masked killer shows up soon after and murders Grandpa, then sets upon town to murder his granddaughter, as I'm guessing she's the sole heir to the estate. The angel killer shows up at a teenage Christmas party to dispatch her boyfriend, and attempts to kill Winnie's brother, which ends abruptly when Winnie manages to electrocute and kill the angel killer, who predictably turns out to be the Greedy Waters. Now fast forward a year, the Carruthers family is now the power family in the town, but Winnie is rather despondent, having lost her best friend, the best friend's grandpa, and having her application to her college of choice get rejected. On top of all that, her family dotes on her little brother while ignoring her. She makes a wish that she was never born. Now she's thrust into an alternate reality of Angel Falls, which has become a dilapidated mess with all its residents either strung out on drugs, homeless, and just mind-numbingly wandering zombies. Not in the George Romero sense, just drugged out of their minds. She quickly figured out, since she never existed, her brother didn't survive the attack at the Christmas party, and the angel killer goes on to kill dozens of people whose families stand in the way of the Waters developer dreams. She has to convince the teen outcast that she's from an alternate reality and they really need to team up to stop this killer. While there are one or two funny jokes that connect in this air quote horror comedy, the rest of the film is predictable and rather stale. It seems that writer Michael Kennedy of 2020's Freaky, which I really enjoyed, worried more about making sure every stereotypical character was crammed into the first 20 minutes of this movie with zero explanation as to why, than to actually take the time to develop meaningful characters which made it difficult to get into this film. Hugely disappointed, I'm feeling generous by giving this clunker 2 out of 5 stars.
Oh my gosh. Does that suck?
I don't think you would do that. You wouldn't drive 26 miles.
No, probably not. I'd most likely wait for it to come on Shudder. As always, thank you so much, Scary Larry. Your opinion is highly valued here. Marathon horror movie watcher, Scary Larry. Thank you. A few weeks back, we discussed gateway horror for kids. And one movie that I left out that has been tradition since I was a kid to see on Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving and the festivities are over are Laurel and Hardy's March of the Wooden Soldiers. And I don't know if there are many Laurel and Hardy fans out there. I know there's a lot of Three Stooges and Abbott and Costello, but Laurel and Hardy were always favorites of mine as a kid. And March of the Wooden Soldiers has a segment where they go to Bogeyland. And these creatures, these bogeymen, invade the village in which they live. And they live in Toyland. It's basically it's a musical and a comedy and, tailor-made for Laurel and Hardy, but a great gateway film for young kids. The scenes with the bogeymen attacking the village are actually quite frightening, so make sure they're not too little.
So beware the unforeseen, the thin veil of Halloween. Ghastly corpses, vampire queen, October 31st, Halloween.
Until next time, stay on the road, keep clear of the moors, and beware the moon. But most of all, be good to yourself. This is Dark Mark, signing off. See you soon.